Hey,
There we
everybody.
go.
David here with ProTrain Miami. Also here with the CEO of ProTrain Miami, John Tadaro. How are you tonight, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
God is good. I'm still here, man. We are going to talk about some exciting topics tonight. We want to help college, our student athletes preparing for college, get recruited, get scholarships. We've got five major tips we're going to discuss, and we're going to start, and we're also going to look at some prime examples of these tips in action from some of the fastest, most capable athletes in the game today. We'll start by discussing the exposure side of it. Then we're going to get to the nitty gritty of the hard work that you got to put in to get your conditioning right. But in terms of maximizing exposure and recruiting, let's just assume that they've done the work for conditioning. What do they do after that to get actually exposure in front of recruiters?
Well, the obvious answer is go to a really good school that, plays a tough schedule, like your St. Thomas Aquinas or, your DeMathas or good councils. But if you go to a shitty school like a school in the middle of nowhere, you better be the fastest, strongest, and most dialed in on that team. And if you're not, you need to be the most athletic on any camp that you go to. So maximizing exposure would be going to rivals camps, going to Under Armour camps, going to the camps at the colleges. But don't go to these
Okay.
camps if you can't run a fast 40. Don't go to do not go to any of these camps if you're not fast. Like just don't go to them. Don't go to them if you're not
Okay.
fast, you're not strong. Don't like if you're in the middle of nowhere in Ohio or Iowa and you go to like a 1A school, go to these camps to get noticed, but you better be bringing the speed because that's the only way you're going to get noticed in anything that you do. Um,
Okay. And we're going to talk
you
about
got
that a
to
little bit later, by the way. If you're not fast, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're not sure where to go, we're going to talk about how to get you there and how to get you fast. But okay, going to the
100%.
camps, going to combines,
Well, I mean,
maybe building a
but
high.
the thing is with the way that the internet is, you have Huddle. Like your Huddle account. Like when I look at a Huddle account, it should be filled with like the best highlights and editing your Huddle. Like you have full access to edit your Huddle account, so you have to have like the highlights. We don't want to see a post route and then like I want to see touchdown after touchdown. I want to see the most top 10 plays you did that whole season. And if you don't got that, then keep working, get faster, get stronger, put yourself in positions to where you're going to get noticed. The cream always rises to the top, but it only rises to the top if you put in that work. I mean, all these kids are like, I'm not getting exposure. I'm not, it's because you suck and you're not fast and you're not strong and you're not fitting the description of a football player. So if you're not getting exposure, it's probably because more than likely you need to get faster and more than likely you need to get stronger. And if you are fast and strong, come to the camps and show up and you will blow up. It's that simple. They will
Okay.
find you if you are findable.
Okay. And then the secret we know that most people in America don't know is that speed is trainable and that we can help individuals get
Speed is
there.
trainable.
So
If you
regarding
are a
the
high school, if
networking,
you're go
go
ahead.
ahead and finish that thought. Then I'll ask the next question.
What I was gonna say is if you are a high school athlete and you are if you're a position player, you should be running a minimum of a 4.7. That is within anybody's capability if you're a position player. If you are an offensive or offensive line, you should be running at least a 5 flat, given that you are
Okay.
over 260 pounds. If you're under 260, you need to be running in the fours. Okay. And if you're like anybody that's O line should be running anybody in America that it should be running at least a 5.3 or under, and these are very capable metrics for anybody to get. And from there, it's about playing football. But if you are a high school football player, position player, running back, DB, safety, linebacker, you should be running at least a 4.7. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay, let's go back to the Huddle account for really quickly. Just if there's freshmen out there, they don't know what that is that an app that lets coaches look at your videos, kind of like a social media app for recruiting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Get that up. Get your Huddle game up and make sure that you're editing it where don't just put every play on there. Edit that where it's the best plays. Put the best plays out there first. They want to see that 80-yard touchdown. They want to see the big hit sticks. They don't want to see you run a post route. Everybody ran a post route this year,
Okay.
Like we want to see
something.
We want to see big plays.
Exceptional.
And then you got. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, no, you've got more on that. Then we'll move on in a minute to mental toughness, and we'll look at Ja'Marr Chase and some examples of mental toughness that can be built with training. But finish that last thought you had there.
And just get around a lot of coaches. It's about that. The relationships you make. You want to leave lasting impressions with every coach and meet as many coaches as possible. Network, because you don't know. Like there are times when you're in a small area, small school, 1A school, but the more coaches you know, the more relationships you have with coaches, the more your name gets out there, the more people share your stuff. So make sure you have good, positive relationships with coaches and stop being an asshole. Don't be that kid that every coach has a problem with. Be the guy that that kid is an A1. Because even if you are a dog, right, these coaches are all talking to all the same coaches, all the same scouts. So they want to hear good, positive things. He does his schoolwork. He is very coachable. So you better have good relationships with coaches. If you have good relationships with coaches and you have the athletic qualities, you will get on a team 100%.
Okay, so not only be physically there, but have your character developed as well. I like that. So let's move on to number 4. We're counting down to number 1, the top tip to get you a college scholarship in football. So number 4 being game situational awareness and building confidence. So let's take a quick look here. Let me shrink my screen back down. We're going to look at this footage of Ja'Marr Chase. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Let's
you got it.
Get that up here. Let's see. There is.
Watch Joe Mixon help out in pass pro right there. Boom. Just get a piece of the edge.
Burrow looking deep for Chase, and Chase makes the adjustment, and Chase will walk in for his second touchdown of the season. 42 yards.
Perine is in, one timeout for Cincinnati, and going deep into the end zone, and caught by...
So he seems to just be able to outrun those defensive backs, and he's always in tune with his quarterback, or at least it looks that way. How does someone develop that confidence and that situational awareness?
Well, one, you got to have the speed. You got to have the confidence knowing that you can beat, that DB. If you know you're faster than that DB, making plays is going to be a hell of a lot easier. Obviously, you need to know football. You need to learn the playbook, okay? You need to learn how to beat that defender. It's really not that complicated. Ja'Marr Chase is fucking fast, okay? He's fast, and he knows that he's going to burn that DB. He's going to out-jump him. He's going to get him every time. He's a better route runner than anybody in the league, and he's got the speed to go with it. He's got the football IQ. He's got the agility. He can make the adjustments on the fly, and that confidence comes from the preparation. I mean, he practices the route tree 24/7. He sprints, he jumps, he is attentive in the weight room, and he's doing everything
Okay.
necessary to have that all the qualities to be a top receiver.
Okay, so just to foreshadow where we're going in the future in this video, he already had his foundational fitness, but then after that, he went to the mental game and decided, I'm going to learn the inside out of this football field and how my team wants to outmaneuver the other team. That his mental game, he's studying, he's practicing.
Yeah, you got guys like Jerry Rice that weren't that fast, but Jerry Rice made up for it because he was a technician. He was perfect technically. He's the best route runner of all time. And he still wasn't fucking slow. He was a 4.6 40 guy, and he had the agility because he understood the game. In order to have agility in football, you got to understand football. The best football players are not always the fastest, but they have to understand the game. And because the game is agility, you got to understand and read defenses. If you can read that defense, if you can see where that DB is going to flip his hips and try and change directions, you can outmaneuver him. And that's what he does better. Like, he can read that DB. And on top of that, he's faster than most of the DBs out there. So he's going to beat him. And then his size. I mean, the guy's he's a big guy. There's a combination of why his confidence is there. So if you're a smaller receiver, and you're not that fast, you better be a hell of a technician and you better understand the game. But the easiest way to have confidence in the game of football is to be fast. It's just that simple.
Okay. Well, with that being said, in the high school level, I don't know if this has changed or not, so you can tell me. I know that the playbook, and I went to a high school that was #1 in the state of Tennessee, and I wouldn't grade myself personally, but they kept that playbook pretty close to their chest, the coaches. I don't know if that's still the case. Is there much, what percentage, if any, should high school students be spending on the technical playbook of their team, like running routes? I mean, they're going to do that in practice, but outside of practice, should they worry about that at all, or zero?
I mean, you would probably know that most of these kids are not looking at a playbook outside of what practice is, but the best ones are. It's that simple. They know that playbook better than they know how to spell their last name. So if you want to be a great football player, you got to know the playbook, because that's what's going to make you the most agile. If you know the game of football, you know what the defense is doing, your speed is only going to go so far. If you can't read a defense, you're going to fall short, because that DB is going to outmaneuver you with his mind. You know what I mean? So in order for the speed, that's why everyone's like, oh, a 40 doesn't mean shit. Yeah, it because there are fast players, like Marquise Godwin. He ran a 4.2, but it wasn't that great of a receiver because he wasn't a technician in football. He didn't, he wasn't a football player. He was a track guy. But you have to combine the two, right? The best of the best have both, right?
Yeah. Okay, so in today's world, is this something that happens that a high school student can say, hey, coach, I really want to spend extra time memorizing this route. Can you give me a photocopy of it? I'll take it home and just memorize it in my head. Or is that not something that coaches do in high school, or is it?
I think if you take initiative and you're really willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win, the coach is going to do whatever it takes to give you the opportunities that you need. But you can't be shy and, think that a coach is going to not let you learn more about the plays. I mean, of course.
Okay.
But too many today, too many kids, you can't be shy. You got to be assertive. This is football. This isn't, fucking playing checkers. You got to be able to be assertive in your face and communicate on and off the field. If you can't communicate, the best football players, high school, college, and pro, have excellent communication within the team and do whatever it takes to make the team win. And part of that is knowing your job at all times. So, yes,
Okay.
go ask the coach if you don't know the plays. And if you are not confident with the plays, the coach will give you the opportunities and whatever is necessary to make sure that you learn it, because they want to win. That is the name of the game, is winning.
Okay, nice. It sounds like they're a bit more open. I just think of like Bill Belichick holding his playbook super close, and then they covering their mouths when they're whispering, and obviously they don't want the other team to
Yeah,
know
that's
what
in
they're
the
saying,
game.
but that's
Right,
higher
for
level,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, but I mean,
High school's way different.
they might not give the. Well, it's just more so every high school has different protocols, but they're gonna give the kid unlimited access to that playbook. It might just be within the four walls of the institute. It doesn't necessarily mean you get to take
Okay.
it home, but they will give you ample amount of opportunities to learn it and know it 100%. So I mean, you got kids that
Okay.
literally can't even read, so they're gonna make sure they're gonna make sure you learn that
Okay.
playbook, whatever it costs, especially to win.
Okay, so main point, increase your game IQ however you can. If you have to stay late, if you get to take it home, if you don't get to take it home, do what is possible with your circumstances to increase your game IQ, and then mental toughness will come also with the training later on. And then we'll move on to point number 3 here, discussing position-specific skill development. And I know that this is later on something that you talk about, that people start this way too early. I think I've heard you say in the past. Now, if someone is a sophomore, is that too early to just start doing tailored drills outside of practice for a quarterback or a lineman or a wide receiver? You say it's 3 years to get to that genetic potential of training with us, right? Like, we have the best method, and that's about how long it takes, is 3 years to get to that genetic potential for speed, and then people go on to the getting more specific. Is that what I understand?
So I want to be clear. You can be strong and fast and be a shitty football player. I want to make that absolutely clear for all the people that are like, oh, all you care about is speed, and no. You need to still learn techniques of being a receiver. You need to still learn techniques of being a DB, being a lineman, defensive end, all those things, being a running back. You need those skill-specific things. But what I am saying, what I am proclaiming, and what is 100% true is there's far too much specific things and not enough general for these players. For an example, like, they put way too much focus and emphasis on like 7-on-7. Like, if you want to just really gamble your entire career, go and fucking do the 7-on-7 circuits for the 6 months or 9 months of off season that you have. Go do that and let me know how that turns out. Because 99% of the time, that's a waste of time. You're going to get injured. You're going to get hurt. And nobody, last time I checked, and I mean nobody, has ever gotten recruited from a spring ball 7-on-7 tournament or whatever. The exposure is irrelevant. It's just for bragging rights. It's just flag fucking football. All right? Doesn't mean shit. Okay? If you can, nothing matters till you put on pads. So you got to do whatever it takes to get prepared for that. What does that look like? And I'm going to go in order. Your speed development, your strength training to supplement your speed development, the recovery, and make sure that you are in the most optimal position that you can be in for your specific position. So strength, speed, strength, skill, position, work. That doesn't mean going to a fucking 7-on-7 tournament for weeks on end and not doing anything in the weight room and not being on the track or on the field working specifically on just general speed. See, everybody wants to do the route tree. So like, you look at guys like Odell, you look at a lot of these receiver technician types, and all they want to do is receiver work. All right, but then there's a cost to that, and that's injury, because now they're neglecting the weight room and they're directing general speed. Because if you can't just improve general speed and maintain that when you are in chaotic environments like, you know, a 7-on-7 or in an actual football practice or game, you don't have the unconsciousness. You don't have the unconscious competence to do and change directions properly. Okay, so there's a cost, and there's not a lot of added benefits by being too specific with this sport or any sport.
Okay, so the cost benefit ratio is negative. It's not good enough where a student should be taking their off season to do 7-on-7s. Am I hearing you say that those are like useless, or they should be very moderated?
I'm not saying that. I think it's moderated. Because the problem with 7-on, let me explain something. Because 7-on-7 turns into like it's another football league in a sense, and it's like no scout from Ohio State is going to a 7-on-7 tournament. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Okay? It's just a waste of energy. It's a distraction, and it's a risk of injury, because nothing matters till you put on the pads and you thump it. If you're not thumping, we're not bumping. So just stop it. You can do it from a practice. It's great. Look, I love a good 7-on-7 practice. It's great for my skill players. It's amazing. But as far as like competitiveness, because it turns into competition and everybody gets really hyped about it and it gets really serious. But then all these kids neglect their actual training. And then we got hamstring issues, ACL issues, and then everybody's getting injured by August. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not good for the overall, because like I said, if you're not thumping, you're not bumping. So if we're not doing that, if we're not putting on the pads, I'm not like, it's like essentially like a pro fighter getting into a street fight. It's not the same thing. And it's like, you know, you're a prize fighter. It's just like in football, like if you don't have those pads on, I wouldn't be doing anything other than practicing the skill. Now, practicing the route tree 3 times a week, I'm all for that. Doing your running back drills, I'm all for that. Doing lineman specific drills, that is amazing. You have to do that, but you can't just go full speed in something that doesn't transfer to the actual game enough, and there's still risk for injury. So that's why
your priorities in check, and not let the other things like the 7-on-7s overwhelm you. Okay, so next let's talk about strength and conditioning, and then we'll get to the number 1 tip we're going to discuss: how people can get college scholarships. But before we do that, let's switch back to and watch a few minutes of Tyreek Hill, and then I want to hear you just talk about first the strength and conditioning that you see in him, and that how athletes have to emphasize that, and then we'll move on to the speed portion.
It's a while for Alex to really get the trust and the confidence for them to do the right thing.
In 2nd and 7, he's got Hill, and he's going to go in for the touchdown. He liked the body language there. The rookie, Tyreek Hill.
The overload side, and they didn't get it done.
Johnson selected to his 4th Pro Bowl last season. Successful return from that devastating Achilles tear that he sustained early in 2014. This is Tyreek Hill. He is a home run hitter in the return game.
Don't you even think about it.
Season shoving it. And that's juggled, caught, and getting into the end zone.
What a play.
Is Tyreek Hill for the touchdown.
That was awesome.
Marquette King to punt. And there was a flag. Tyreek Hill is back. He's the number 9 punt returner in the league. He dances on Holmes and gets by him. On the move, here come the blocks. He's looking for one from Sherman. The explosive rookie is finally tackled with a shoestring at about the 45-yard line and brought down on the play by the Raiders' Brendan Trowick.
From the 36-yard line. Off the fake, the end around.
to Tyreek Hill. The rookie out of West Alabama. And he is into Saints territory. Gain of 18. They've set it down for Kansas City from the Saints 38. As Smith goes deep to the end zone. And the catch is made for a touchdown by Tyreek Hill.
Alex Smith back on the sideline, taking some snaps and some practice throws. Foles under duress, fires up the seam, and it is caught. It's Tyreek Hill. That pass hung in the air for an eternity. Receivers split out top of your picture on 2nd and 9. Foles going to take a shot, throwing end zone, has his man. It's Tyreek Hill for a Kansas City touchdown.
Learn some of the other nuances to really elevate himself to be a good quarterback.
Little misdirection play, Tyreek Hill.
Wow, he seems strong and fast. Tell me what you think about his conditioning and strength before moving to speed. Like, he seems like he's got both, just from a casual observer that's not a hardcore NFL fan after the Tennessee Titans started to suck.
Well, Tyreek, one thing about him is he's got the strongest hamstrings I've ever seen in my life. He is just very durable, and he's the guy that's not gonna really go down by a non-contact injury. You know, he's not gonna get a hamstring pull. His knees are bulletproof. I mean, he's got the strongest tendons you'll ever see. So
He's in there doing them
He's
deadlifts. He's getting it done.
he can absorb the ground better than anybody in the NFL. He can absorb force and produce force. For his size, there's nobody that can produce more force. And definitely, like with speed, it's about force production, and then also for the elite athletes, for the guys that are running the 4.2s, it's about how much they absorb the ground.
How tall and how much does he weigh? Sorry to interrupt. Just curious.
He's like 5. Hold on.
Just roughly.
Ballpark. Hey Siri, how tall is Tyreek Hill? Yeah, he's 5'8", so he's 5'8", and you know, for 5'8", there's no, you know, he's just so twitchy, can absorb and produce so much force. He's got the strongest hamstrings. Tendon strength is so important. You know, his eccentric strength, you know, is why he's so great, because the eccentric overload that he can have, he can change directions really well, because that's what it takes to really be able to change directions, that eccentric force. And Tyreek,
how does someone train that? Sorry to interrupt, but I've heard of getting muscle strong. Is that a result of getting muscle strong as tendons as well?
Well, I mean, so yeah, tendons and ligaments. You know, bulletproofing the knees, the tibia. There's a lot of things that we can do. And in preparation for it, he is very, you know, he has a pretty good training regimen from what I know. But one thing about Tyreek is he sprints. Like, he sprints. He does a lot of hill sprint training. He does resisted work. He does receiver specific work, so he knows the game of football really well. And you know, he does those slow eccentric works in the weight room. So like pause reps, slowing down the reps, everything like that. He does all that stuff. I know his training. I know who trains him. So he is very well spent in the weight room, on the turf. He's a very balanced athlete. I think that's why he's one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Awesome.
And he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't really get hurt. I mean, he doesn't experience crazy amounts of energy, because his preparation is well intact.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's so much of the fitness. And when I played was not getting hurt, staying flexible. But before we move on to number one, we have a few people watching. If you're watching right now, if you have any kind of questions about improving your student athlete speed, strength. Maybe you're the athlete. Maybe you're the young athlete. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat. We'll put it on the screen and we'll answer it for you. But regarding number one, the importance of speed and agility. Now, obviously, this is a whole different level moving to college and to NFL. But how many days per week, if the student's schedule allows for it, a high school student specifically wanting to go to the NFL, wanting to go to college, how many days per week should they be speed training, John?
At least 2 days a week. There's no
two.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right. I'm gonna be the bad guy, and I'm gonna tell you that if you're not running at least a 4.7, you can forget about playing football past high school. Okay.
Okay.
It's just and honestly, everybody that's playing high school football should be running a 4.7, but the reality of it is probably not probably, I know the statistics, it's about 15% can run a 4.7, and there's only 3% can run a 4.5 or better. So that tells me that
Wow.
a lot of you motherfuckers are not training speed. Because if you are a skilled player, and you're not, you don't have physical limitations like one leg, or I don't know, you got paralysis. I don't know if you got two working legs, and you're in this country, you have full access to everything you need to run at least a 4.7. And if you're not running a 4.7, my buddy, you better be training speed twice a week for sure. We're talking to you. I see these kids and they have no concepts of posture, position, and power, rising rhythmically over time, horizontal and vertical force production. They have no concepts of it at all. They don't have any concepts of this, and yet they're playing football, and then they're wondering why they're not getting exposure, why they're not getting recruited. It's because you suck, and you're not fast enough, and you're too slow to play the sport. And there's only a certain amount of kids that are even playing at that level. You could be one of it. Like, it's not that fucking hard. It's really not. Because the amount of kids I see on most of these high school teams are running 4.8s, 4.9s. They're slow. They're out of shape. And yet they're training every day. And that should tell you that you could train every day and still be doing the wrong things. And what is everybody doing? They're in the weight room all they're doing is cleans, benching, deadlifting. Like, they're not doing the right things. Now, can you benefit from benching? Absolutely. Can you benefit from cleaning? Yes, you can. Can you benefit from a deadlift? But where does the return come from? And I'm going to tell you right now, in order to get fast, you got to move fast, and you got to be on the field sprinting. And nobody's doing it. I've been in these high schools for the last 15 years. I've trained over 100,000 athletes. And I would say the ones that make it have the competency of speed development. And that is a very few percent. There's only 2% that go on to play into college. That's 60,000 athletes. That's 60,000 athletes out of 3 million. And if you want to be one of the 60,000, that's D1, 2, or 3. That's not even D1. You don't even want to understand the D1 number. Like, so if you want to be one of those 60,000 that go on past high school, where senior night is not the last night you play football, then you gotta start doing speed training. Oh, but we're in the weight room every day, coach. Oh, we got 7-on-7 on the weekend, coach. Oh, our team is going to South Carolina to do a visit for a school. Why? This is all waste, okay? Because at the end of the day, the playmakers are the ones that are going to go on to college. So If the team is in the weight room, cool. You need to be on the turf doing the speed work. You need to be doing specific stuff to get you faster. You need to be doing the things that are going to have a return on the investment and getting you into college. And it's going to be the speed, my friend. It's going to be the speed. Because when you go to a rival's camp, when they go to the rival's camp, when they go to Under Armour camps, when they go to the actual school to do a camp, everybody's going to run a 40. And every kid that runs a 4.8, get out of here. The 4.7s, okay, based on that, we're going to look at the huddles. Okay, this kid sucks, this kid sucks. So the 4.7s are out. But everybody that's a 4.5 or better, okay, let's see what this kid's got. Because in all honesty, you can teach speed, but that doesn't mean that your coach is going to teach you speed. So if you got a 4.5 and I'm at an LSU camp and I got the size to go with it, right? And I made a good relationship and that I can make an opportunity for you. I know, I had a kid, Stephen King, didn't play his freshman year, didn't play his sophomore year, didn't play his junior year. But his junior year, his mom reached out. She's like, we got to get this kid faster. He is 6'7", and he's slow as fuck. But if he runs a 4.7, he is going to play at LSU. Well, sure enough, we trained that entire year. He got faster. He senior year started, became an offensive and played offense and defense. And he went to an LSU camp, ran a 4.7, and we're like, hold up, this kid is 6'7", runs a 4.7.
Wow.
Preferred walk on all day. Let's go. So don't tell me that 40 doesn't matter. It sure the fuck does. And guess what?
Okay.
If you run a 4.5 and you go to any camp, any school camp, any rivals, somebody's gonna notice. And based on the handshakes that you make and the relationships that you have, right, and everybody vouches for you, you are going to get an opportunity. So don't tell me speed does not matter. Don't be one of those football purists that's saying, "Oh, 40 doesn't matter. I'm a football player." Yeah, says the kid that doesn't make it into college, or the kid that goes to college, and then when it comes down to having a pro day or getting ready for the NFL, they're lost in the sauce because they're running slow as hell. And they're like, but I had great skill work and position work. Nobody cares about that if they don't see the speed to go with it. Nobody cares how well you run the route tree. So it's just that
you need the
simple.
speed for the game. Okay. I want to get to real quick. I want to mention, and then we're going to come back to you for one exercise you recommend people can do from home. But first, I want to tell people really quickly, we have a banner scrolling across the bottom, ProTrainMiami.com. Go there and bookmark that in your web browser. In the coming weeks, we're going to have a lot of articles telling you things you can do, providing you free value of how, if you're not in Miami, if you're not near us, these are things you can still do to increase your chances of becoming a D1 athlete. And then with that being said, what do you think is one thing kids that could easily do, even if they don't have access to elite training near them? Just one, if you had to pick one exercise or two to get their speed up or help.
Well, the one thing they need to do right now, if you're an athlete in America, you need to take that website down and bookmark it as your number one bookmark, because that right there is the resource to get you paid. Okay, and if you got access to land, which we all do, you need the number one exercise you need to be doing is sprinting and improving that. That's what you need to be doing. All right, for nothing else. If nothing else you have access to, get outside and go fucking sprint as fast as you can. Let's start with that.
Okay. How many yards and for how many minutes? I mean,
10 yards.
Okay.
So we're going to go 10 yards. Okay? 10 yards. Okay? 10 yards. We're going to start with 10 yards as fast as you can. We're going to get 100 yards of volume in. So that's 10 sprints. You're going to rest For every 10 yards that you run, you're going to rest 1 minute. Okay?
Okay.
1 minute. So if I run 10 yards, I'm resting for at least 1 minute. Okay? That's what you need to start doing.
Okay. Well, that's it. There's your lesson. Your intro is for speed. Your homework, if you're a student athlete watching this, run 10 yards, rest a minute, and do that 10 times. That is your starting step to developing speed. And to share another thing with you here, we are going to take a look at, if you are in Miami, if you are a student athlete, tell your parents. This website, this link is in the description of this video that you're watching. Either tell your parents to go to this link, or if you are the parent, visit this link, and we have the best speed training in the world. It's backed by science. We take more metrics than anyone else alive. We know exactly what your biomechanics are doing. We know how to get them perfect. So this is a free Olympic assessment to get you to know exactly where you are and how far you have to go to become a college athlete and even go professional. We've got a calendar here, and we will get you in, get you assessed, and help you achieve those dreams. And check the link in the description of this video. That will be there if you are in Miami. And with that being said, do you have any closing words for the audience?
Absolutely. So you don't need talent to be successful. You need two things. You need edge and you need momentum. See, talent doesn't always, no matter how talented you are, it really comes down to whatever you have. If you are too short, that could be your best advantage, because you're going to work that much harder than everybody else. Because if you have the consistency to do something, if you have the consistency to get up every day 30 minutes before the competition, you have an edge. If you have the ability to work out one more workout than the competition, you have the edge. If you have the ability to go to bed 30 minutes before your competitor, that's an edge. And if you have the willingness and the ability to do that consistently more than your competitor, that's called an edge. And with that, you build momentum. And that edge and that momentum is going to add up to where that person that has more skill than you, has more talent than you, that washes away because they can't be consistent. They don't have that edge and they don't have that momentum, because their talent can only lead them so far. Because the greatest athletes in the world are the most consistent athletes, the most willingness to do whatever it takes always. And that's what's going to lead you to go to college. That's what's going to lead you to go to the pros. That's what's going to get you to stay in the pros. That's what's going to make you a legend. It's all you need is two things: edge and momentum. And if you can do that, if you can build that edge, if you can take your disadvantages and make them your advantages, you will not only be a great athlete, but you will be the man in life. You will be the greatest person you could possibly be all your life. You're going to dominate everything. You're going to dominate relationships. You're going to dominate being the best person possible. It's not about just reaching your potential athletically. It's about reaching your potential in all aspects of life, so that you can live, and when you are gone, they have something to write about.
Amen. I love it.
That's it.
All right. Well, this has been Pro Train Miami, and we are here to help your student athlete achieve their dreams. Click that link in the description if you're in Miami. We will be back with more soon. Have a great week, everybody.
Get on the train or get off the